They made me remove my oak tree, so I planted 20-foot palms in front of their windows. The oak tree had stood in my front yard for decades, its gnarled branches stretching like a guardian over my small Karen flower garden. Its shade nurtured the delicate white blooms, their petals a quiet rebellion against the manicured conformity of our suburban neighborhood. I'm Clara, 62, a retired botanist who found solace in that tree and those flowers. They were my sanctuary after my husband passed, a living memory of our shared love for nature. But to the HOA and my neighbors, the Wilsons, that oak was an eyesore, its roots buckling the sidewalk, its leaves littering their pristine driveway. They demanded it be removed, citing community standards. I fought them for months, letters, meetings, even a petition with 12 signatures from other neighbors. But the HOA's lawyer was relentless, and the Wilsons' smug faces at every meeting wore me down. Last spring, I lost. The oak came down, its stump a raw wound in my yard. I stood there, watching the chainsaws tear into my tree, the Karen flowers trembling under falling debris. Mrs. Wilson, with her perfectly pressed blouse, smirked from her porch. "It's for the best, Clara," she called. "Now we can all enjoy the view." Her husband nodded, sipping coffee like he'd won a war. My heart burned. They didn't just take my tree, they took my peace, my history. I vowed they'd regret it. That night I couldn't sleep. The stump outside my window mocked me, a symbol of surrender. But surrender wasn't in my blood. I'd studied plants my whole life. I knew their power. If they wanted a view, I'd give them one they'd never forget. I called my old colleague, Tom, a nursery owner with a penchant for dramatic landscaping. "Clara, you sure about this?" he asked when I told him my plan. "It's petty." I laughed, a bitter edge in my voice. "Petty's all I've got left." By dawn, Tom's crew arrived with 6 20-foot palm trees, their fronds towering and defiant. We planted them in a tight row along the property line, directly in front of the Wilsons' floor-to-ceiling windows. By noon, their view of the neighborhood was gone, replaced by a wall of green. I stood back, hands dirty, heart pounding with a strange mix of triumph and guilt. The Karen flowers beneath the palms seemed to glow brighter, as if cheering me on. The Wilsons noticed by evening. Mrs. Wilson stormed over, her face red. "Clara, this is outrageous. You're blocking our light." I crossed my arms, standing by my flowers. "You wanted the oak gone. Now you've got palms. Enjoy the view." Mr. Wilson joined her, his voice low and threatening. "This is a violation. We'll sue." I shrugged, my voice steady. "Check the bylaws. Palms are compliant." They were. Tom had made sure of it. The neighborhood buzzed. Some cheered my defiance. Others whispered about escalation. The HOA called an emergency meeting, but their hands were tied. The palms were legal. The Wilsons, though, didn't stop. They hired a surveyor, claiming the trees were an inch over the property line. They filed complaints about visual nuisance. I countered every move, my botanist's precision outmatching their petty bureaucracy. But the tension grew, a silent war of glares and whispered gossip. Then came the twist. One morning, I found a boy maybe 15, with messy hair and sad eyes, sitting by the palms, sketching the Karen flowers. He was Ethan, the Wilsons' grandson, visiting for the summer. "I like your flowers," he said softly. "Grandma hates them, but they're alive." I softened. He told me how his grandparents' obsession with perfection suffocated him, how they'd thrown out his sketchbook once for being messy. I saw myself in him, a kid who loved what grew wild, not what was pruned to death. I gave him a Karen cutting to plant at home. "Keep it alive," I said. He smiled, a flicker of hope. Days later, the Wilsons escalated. They hired a landscaper to trim my palms, claiming they were a hazard. But their man went too far, slicing into the trunks, poisoning the roots. By week's end, my palms were dying, their fronds browning and drooping. I confronted the Wilsons, rage choking my words. "You killed them." Mrs. Wilson smirked again. "Just tidying up, Clara." Ethan overheard, his face crumpling. He ran off, and I heard him sob behind their house. That night, a fire broke out. The Wilsons' garage went up in flames, the heat scorching my remaining palms. The police came and Ethan confessed. He'd found the landscaper's gas can, angry at his grandparents for crushing Clara's spirit and his own. He hadn't meant for the fire to spread, but it did. The Wilsons were unharmed, but their perfect facade was ash. Ethan faced juvenile charges and I felt a hollow ache. My revenge had sparked something darker, pulling an innocent kid into its orbit. I didn't replant. The Karen flowers still bloomed, but their beauty felt heavy now, tainted by loss. The Wilsons moved away, their house sold to a young couple who loved the flowers. I visited Ethan at his community service program, bringing him a new sketchbook. "Draw what grows," I told him. He nodded, tears in his eyes. The neighborhood is quieter now, but the air feels heavy with unspoken regrets. My oak is gone, my palms are dead, and a boy's future is scarred. Revenge tasted sweet for a moment, but its aftertaste is bitter. What do you think? Where does justice end and vengeance begin?